Death is inextricable from the biggest questions of life. Before birth and after death may be related. The seasons and the sun. Sunset has to happen to make a sunrise for others. Death is political and tied to the meaning we assign life. Colonialism killed death. Aging is made out to be ugly, especially for women. Health access is a classist and racist weapon. Kids die all around the world. Mothers die during childbirth, when around 1 in 10 pregnancies end in miscarriage, and currently about 1 in 7 people are infertile, growing due to microplastics. It's horrible that women don't have access to safe, life-preserving care. And natural bodily processes like abortion are stigmatized. It's truly horrible that people think the sanctity of embryonic life is worth controlling women's health, and the necessary life-saving procedures women rely on to make a dent in the mountain of misogynistic traumas, such as sexual assault. Where are the vegetarian, adopting pro-lifers? Who gets to live and for how long is a frontlines question every single day for many people. Colonialism hides those deaths. Who is remembered in history? Who writes and tells the stories? We have to read against the grain, understanding it's written by the winners, and we're going to get an unclear and weaponized picture. We have to uplift the silenced voices of the history and the future through our activism and radical solidarity with one another in the present. These systems are oppressive and don't serve anyone. Men are victims of the patriarchy too, for example. People can't afford education, eggs, gas, get their car fixed, identity, data leaks by large companies, big data. What it means to die changes. All of the dead people's social media accounts, all the ways you can uplift or detriment the environment while you're both alive and dead. Death is just a change. Every change has a fundamental similarity to it. Unanswerable questions have a subjectivity and poetics that allow us to have a creative take on life. So many songs say, "Do you want to live forever, be forever young?" And others are about grief and the loss of people and civilizations. There's been so much genocide throughout history. Some people point to greed, but you can't take anything with you when you go. And it's really the problem of evil and the pervasiveness of evil within systems that oppress and perpetuate violence and the keeping of people divided, helpless, and hopelessness. The government, military, etc., is blowing up corpses like bombs that have been donated to science through hospitals, not to mention organ donorship used as a tool of racial discrimination. Universalized healthcare is a long time coming, but it's not here yet in large part due to systemic perpetuation of racism and conservative hypocrisy. Contemplating the answers of unanswerable questions are very related to the struggles we face as humanity right now, in solidarity with the animals in factory farms and the plants violated by GMOs and the ecosystems poisoned. We are all deeply connected. How you frame your existence within a member of an unwaverable spiritual army, us as the current incarnates, for those of us who believe we can channel our connection to our ancestors and other spirits of the earth, the question of the afterlife is very important to that as well. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. I believe everyone benefits in some way from going on an inner spiritual journey to collect experiential evidence and knowledge. Ask, if there's a God, please show me. If there's a universe listening, please show me. Be specific. Ask for a certain sign like a specific feather or a word you listen for. I believe we incarnate with a purpose or a destiny we fall into. A soul blueprint of our highest reality that we can stray from, but will always come back to us if we approach ourselves with humility. I don't think that believing life is inherently meaningless is any less productive or evidential of a perspective. We can only fulfill our highest purposes when we are fully interconnected as living creatures. We have to work together and grapple with where we are. A big part of this is learning how we can channel the lessons that the dead has learned and fought for us in a very real way. How we can connect to the spirits on the other side who may help us every day. And if you don't evidence that, how do we honor the dead and keep the relationship alive through eternal love? We are very lucky to live in a time with immersive technology to preserve memories, and it will be interesting to see how death continues to change with the advent of technology. Unanswerable questions are perhaps an easier way to bring creative approaches to the perpetual doomsday spiral that is inextricable from the problem of evil. Continue your spiritual journey and overcome the fear of the unknown, whether it's death, new experiences, or learning and changing your mind about anything, which takes strength and humility but is always necessary, because we should never stop learning. Giving voice to the public, asking the compelling questions, gives representation and a sensitive space for people to poetically contemplate these things through the subjective perspectives of other people. There is a really beautiful power in multiplicitous perspectives, especially in questions where there is no right or wrong, as opposed to the idea of one right answer, thinker, text, or paradigm, one strong leader or strong take. Divisive and misguided people get stuck in ideas like atheists can't be moral or religious people can't be moral. At the end of the day, we all have morals that interact with society. I strongly believe cultural relativism is key. Accepting open-heartedly all differences is a strong, simple truth of love. The paradox of tolerance is that in contexts where intolerance by others threatens tolerance, we are obligated to restore justice for all. It seems a bit odd that animals have to kill other animals to survive. Is there a curse on the earth? Some people think that nature is cruel and evil. Others think it is cohesion, chaos, equilibrium, harmony, cycles, archetypes, scales of time, fruit of consciousness. Nobody really knows where the earth came from yet either. We are comparatively still having a Galileo moment. Yes, we know about the giant molecular clouds that form stars, but we don't know the formation of the earth or the moon, or why both are so unique. We might just be a shadow, like Plato's allegory of the cave, on the truest reality. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. There's nothing more satisfying than exploring the unknown with unprecedented ways to immerse in and supplement creativity and have global solidarity and connection. Lastly, does what we do during our lives affect what happens next, like karma, whether in this life, between lives, this realm, or the next? Further, some even say that what you believe determines what happens to your soul after death. Some examples of this being that astral projectors have reported seeing a veil of souls living in a void around Earth, those who believed they were destined for eternal nothingness. On the flip side, some Buddhists and others have done energy work to cultivate a strong lucidity and coherence of the spiritual body, to keep the flame of consciousness intact after death, or even birth an energy baby for you to inhabit once your body ceases to house you, to not lose oneself in the cosmic laundry cycle, if you will, wherein you are returned back to the light and divine union, oneness with all, but rather to retain whatever aspects of the sovereignty we have in embodied life, to combine with whatever new sovereignties we may find ourselves with. On the off chance that it's true that your beliefs or actions in this life may impact your consciousness in the next, I think it's all the more worth considering and sitting with the many different potential realities, even us creating them for ourselves, as the great religious architectures and pantheons around the world point to. Many say that life is a preparation for death. This I believe as well. Due to its inevitability, if not its inherent relationship to everything in life itself, impermanence and the unknown are alluring and overwhelming, but are the urgencies which compel our greatest pursuits with the average person living 4,000 weeks? What will we do with our limited time? Live, live, live. And in doing so, finding out how to love, how to be love, give love, not to judge and tell others we know better than them how they should live their lives, misguided by faith, society, or both. Not to insert ourselves into denying the rights of others, but to fulfill our obligations as caretakers of one another, to care for others more than yourself by co-creating freedom and justice, to alleviate the suffering of others amidst impermanence, and to live a full and kind life. We will inevitably become as ready as we need to be to die.